All right, good morning, everyone. Good to see you, Paul Tranny here. And welcome. Excuse me. New week, new you. Hey, how about that? So good to see you here. Avroja, Steve, Mia, Valder. Hopefully everybody's having a wonderful morning. I see you, Sean. Just want to give everybody a nice shout out and a warm hug. Susan Wilson, good to have you here. Awesome. And if you are joining us for the first time, feel free to say hello. I'm just going to quickly cover everything that's new, things that you might have missed, just some fun things going on in the news, and really things for designers and creatives. That is the idea. And honestly, as always, you can send me content as well. You can see my social media down below, so feel free to send me links, and that would be fantastic. But here is basically our agenda. Is to talk about the guests that we have this week. Richard from Great Britain, awesome. We'll talk about our guests. We have some cool guests. We have a new show starting, so we have plenty of news to cover. We'll take a look at some new creative and some not so good creative, because you could learn a lot from bad creative, to be honest with you. So we'll take a look at some of that. We'll highlight someone in the community, could be you. And then also we'll talk about free stuff and just questions and tips as well. So yeah, let's dive on into it, because first off, we got a cool guest list happening this week. So welcome to these wonderful folks. We have John Olson, we have Anderson Blue, and Joe Martinez, of course. 3 different individuals, all doing amazing stuff that I would like to highlight. So we could take a look at, I think actually, I will pull up the schedule as well, just to make sure everything's on track. And yeah, we'll see who we have today. Voodoo Val actually is covering some art as well. But today we have Anderson Blue, so I'm going to go ahead and switch screens and show you his work. As we can see right here, he does a lot of awesome illustration and actually works straight up like with ink, by the way. So it's like, you know, he does ink, he also works digitally as well, but it's very much that comic book style, which would just be fun to watch. So hopefully that works for you. Hello, Froja. I see you over there. Ania and Musaib. Hello. All right, cool. Scrolling down again, this thick line work is actually like a pretty hot trend that's been around for a while. So if you feel like your stuff is looking dated, crank up the size of those lines, you know, 500%, right? But this is nice. Even this shading that he put in here, you can see on this ice cream with the highlights, and very well done. You know, he knows what he's doing, which is pretty nice to see. So that's going to be a fun stream, just so you know, today in a little bit. So yes, cool. Mercurial, Christine, thumbs up. All right. So yeah, super cool work. Check him out, Anderson Blue _ BLUU. I'm following him now. So he does pop art, sneaker designer. That's fun. It's going to be a good day. We also have John Olson. John is actually going to be here Wednesday and Thursday. So John Olson, as you can see, working multiple screens here. Don't mind me. Right, should be, yeah, okay, cool. Wednesday and Thursday from basically 12 to 2, right? And you can see his work. And we'll kind of scroll down and check out some of it. He's an alumni with us. He's been worked with us before, but he's going to do some branding and identity design for a fictional company, Engine, featured in Jurassic Park. So he'll be creating name and tags for characters. So it's going to be really fun. So it's branding and identity design for like Jurassic Park, but definitely knows what he's doing. Definitely branding oriented, right? You could tell by just all this clean space that he has on his website, right? Cool. weird thing right here. I don't know what it is. Oh, there it is. It's that line. So anyways, John will be pretty cool to see him create some branding for Jurassic Park. And then we have Joe Martinez is going to do some photography as well. You can see Joe's work, of course. Joe Martinez photo. Again, admire people who go like, again, similar shots, one black and white, one in color. Interesting on those, like why he made those choices. Be good to find out. That's all. What is this? Am I running into? No, it's on the screen too. Pretty cool work. So it's going to be a fun week. We have stuff for photographers, illustrators, graphic designer, UI, UX, and illustrators. Let's not forget about that. Oh, yeah. Sweet. Fantastic. Let's kind of move on. You guys can see the schedule below. And if you're joining me elsewhere, feel free to go ahead and join me on behance.net/Adobe Live. Happy Monday, Tim. Let's get into all the cool news that you need to know. All right, and I think this is pretty cool news that we have going on. We have a brand new, it's called Brush Hour with Kyle Webster. So he's going to do this every other week from 8 to 9 a.m. so Pacific time. So this time tomorrow morning, check out his brand new show. It's every other Tuesday. So he'll highlight a brush and then he'll create an illustration using it. This week he's going to be talking about the spatter brushes, and of course you could see that as well. In fact, as I share my screen, boom, there it is, right over here, Brush Hour, right? So that'll be really fun. It's cool that he has another hour. Let's not forget about also, as we kind of scroll through, we have master classes happening on Fridays as well, where a number of us evangelists get to do stuff. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But again, Tuesdays, that's the new show. Let's move on to what else is new, because there's some bigger things happening as well, and I want you to be aware of them. I thought this was kind of cool. Sorry that it looks like this, my ping file is off a little bit. Let's just move that up. There we go. This is really cool, by the way. You can see this seesaw for kids that stretched across the U.S.-Mexico border wins Best Design for 2020. I just think this is really cool. This is actually just from the Design Museum, but I think this is just a cool concept. And overall, I can kind of click through that post, as you can see right here. It's like this seesaw that whether you're on the Mexico side or US side, you can actually kind of jump on this teeter-totter and do just have some fun with your neighbors. So that was the big design for 2020, according to, by the way, the Design Museum. But I just thought that's fun to highlight, right? Because this is straight up creative based on what's happening in the news, which is pretty cool. What's up, Helena? Good to have you here. Bruce. Brush Hour is going to be cool, and master classes. We spend most of the week working on those master classes, so stay tuned for those. Those will be fun. And again, this is amazing, right? Sort of just creating unity. Like, kids are kids, wherever you may be. They're all, people are just pretty much the same, So that, again, is, pretty cool. We actually have some additional news as well I wanted to highlight. In Photoshop, we actually added this new tool in Photoshop. It's the Bernie Sanders tool. You'll find it underneath the spot healing brush tool. So basically you select it, and it'll put gloves and a coat on any photo that you have selected in Photoshop. It's called the Bernie Sanders tool, so check it out. That's pretty sweet as well. Okay, that's also not real, so that is silly. Okay, let's move on. I thought that would be kind of fun. You've probably seen all the memes, right? But let's get into 2020 social media design trends. We talked about design trends before, and I've been covering them in my master class. Each week I talk, and I actually create a different design trend. I did a retro futuristic scene on Friday. But we have social media design trends that we need to think about, also just for small businesses. So let me jump to that if you give me a second. I start singing just to stall. Shame on me. So when I start singing, it's like, oh, I'm trying to pull something up on my screen so I can share it with you. So let's just jump into that. Because again, this is from the Spark team. So this stuff is going to be really straightforward. And if you're doing any sort of social media, you should know about these design trends, right? So we could talk about short form video. There's a reason we cover this stuff. It's like video gets more eyeballs, more views than just a still image. So it's like, how can you take your sort of still imagery and bring it to life with animation? So that's what short form video is all about. It's up 16%, which is already up really high. But again, keep it short form, between 4 and 30 seconds. And again, that's why we focus on it, right? And there's some examples here. I want to point out the example that I did just on Friday, by the way. It's like you take a simple illustration, and I'm sorry if you've seen this already, but this was an okay post, right? Posted this, and we can actually take a look, by the way. Let's go to, if I'm still logged in. Yeah, okay, good. So here we have just the illustration, which has, 201 likes. It's not all about likes, I get it. But here, what we have here is an animated version, as we can see that come to life. And we can see it has over 2,000 impressions, a lot more comments, right? Triple the amount of comments, and has performed much better. Because it's cool, sure, but also it's video. So the short form video is largely pretty popular. And again, I cover that in my master class. So it's taking this, and animating it in After Effects. So check out Evan Abrams' work, Jason Levine's work, of course. But that's all that's happening in here, by the way. It's just this fun line art, right? And all this is done using trim paths, right? So again, just kind of pointing that out. If I zoom in here some, there we go. Let's go. Zoop. See if that's, here's this line, by the way, and we can see it's done with trim paths. So it's literally one thing that I did, adjusting the start and end, adding those keyframes, and then adjusting it accordingly, and we can see that, sort of draw in and create that face. So anyways. All right, cool. Question, how do you find content on Spark? So you can go to blog.adobespark.com or spark.adobe.com. There should be a link for it in there as well, but that's where I got this, right? So a lot of our services have their own blog. So we have Adobe Spark that has all the social media stuff. We have Adobe Type. Am I losing my mind? Fonts.adobe.com, right? That also has its blog as well. So each service has a blog that you can kind of check out, and they focus on, again, what's hot and all that fun stuff. Handheld video live streams, we get it, right? Podcasting, you'd think that would go away, but no, podcasting is stronger than ever. Visual and thematic trends, right? So again, just having a consistent look, that's what I think branding typically does. And then, of course, these pops of color, right? Let's grab their attention with these pops of color. And this is another thing that's hot, and I'll talk about this in a second. Going beyond just a simple gradient, and you'll see a lot of this texture. So you see this like a texture, try to make something look more organic or just more tangible. You'll see that a lot across various design trends. So feel free to check that out. I could actually paste that in a chat just so you have it. Jose Gonzalez in the house. All right, it has been a long time, buddy. What's up? There you go. Pasting that link in there. We can move on to some more stuff, shall we? Some more news as well. Let me show you this, because I don't think I covered this, at least not very well, but I talked about an Illustrator update, and just so everybody knows, but now we have the radial grid and mirror repeat features in Illustrator, right? This is, again, really cool. So if you probably know it from in Illustrator on the desktop. So you remember, we do have it for the iPad, right? Again, you probably have seen this. Let's open this up, right? We know how this works. Let's select this little hummingbird. Let's go here to radial repeat, and there we have exactly what we'd expect. This repeating bird. So cool what we could do so easily now, which is so nice. And when these features hit one app, then all the other apps get jealous and they're like, hey, I want that too, right? Well, now we have that. I just went ahead and made that radial. By the way, there's radial, grid, and mirror, right? We'll just save that, right? It used to break it apart and it was just some grouped shapes that you couldn't really manipulate. But now when you're on your desktop, and I'll switch over to my desktop, here's that same file on my desktop. We can open that up and it's going to come through just fine, and we can go ahead and make our own. So there it is, right? What was I just doing a second ago? Like doing all the ooh, all this fun stuff, right? It comes through just fine because we have radial, grid, mirror, repeat. Let's take these flowers, for instance, and we'll do something similar. Where you'll find it, by the way, is right up here. Object, repeat, and there it is, radial, grid, and mirror. Right? Don't you love it? That is awesome. How does this magic work? I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea, my friend. This, I would probably, let's try grid, because grid actually has a couple additional options. Let's open up properties panel. So here's the grid repeat, right? Seems very similar to, say, Adobe XD, but can do more. Because off to the side, what do we have? How we can repeat these options. We can offset them, flip them, rows and columns, things like that. Adjust the spacing, of course. So again, this is where I'd come in and say, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and let's flip the rows. No, let's not flip the rows. Let's flip the columns. That's actually not bad, right? So again, I can see right in here, we can say, hey, you know, let's adjust the spacing between the columns, if you will. We'll kind of tighten that up like so, right? And you could see what it does, obviously. And it is magic. It's magic, people, but it's also really easy. Isn't this nice? Oh, by the way, let's not lose track of how powerful this is. I was working in Photoshop yesterday, and I was creating a pattern, but I didn't really make it a pattern. I decided to make this big fabric look like a pattern, but I had individual items, and I ended up with 1,600 layers, and it got to be a mess. So let's just marvel in the fact that I made 20 items out of one pretty easily. And again, right down in here, you could go into radial, grid, and mirror. You could release them, right? We can go ahead and release them, break it apart, but we also have those same options, either through that dialog or using the properties panel. That's what I typically use, is the properties panel, because it's up and it is easy, right? Right, let's click OK. Cool, and also you can combine these any way you want as well. So if I decided, hey, you know what, we want to make this a pattern, we could have these fun little, what are these? Hummingbirds. Thank you. My brain was searching. It's like, oh, what is this called? You know, and we could take this and we could make this a grid repeat, a radial, and now there's a radial repeat inside of a grid repeat, and yada, yada, yada. You get the idea. Okay, all right. Does this also work with vectors with gradients? Yeah, in fact, let's just double click and let's go in here. Since you want gradients, you're getting gradients, my friend. Let's take a look at this. Let's go to our, don't really have any exciting gradients, but let's just throw, again, that gradient like so. Added that little gradient, gives it a little bit of depth, and we can see it propagates not only around this radial, but around the grid as well. So yeah, it works with gradients. All right, right on. All right. Yes, exactly. It used to take many, many steps, and I won't get into that too much, but that's a demo I used to always cover. It's like, oh, you know what? You could use the rotate tool, and you would hold down the option key and you would click, and you're like, okay, rotate at 45 degrees and make a copy. And you do Command D, Command D, Command D, Command D, Command D, right? That's what you'd had to do, right? And these are all individual shapes. So if I decide I want to change this gradient, right, it's only going to change this one gradient, and of course not everywhere else. So you can already see how changing things will take much longer than as opposed to the way things are now. All right. Right, and all you have to do is double click on it. So it's basically grouped inside. You just double click, and any one of these, by the way, like I can go over here to this one, back to this original one. Any one of these you can change, and it's going to change all of them. If you don't want it to change all of them, then you want to break it apart. Okay, there I changed it to yellow. All right, Bruce Gonzalez likes it. If Bruce likes it, it's good enough for me. Sounds great. All right. So again, that's pretty fun. And by the way, this is Illustrator 25.2. So you do have to make sure that you go in and update Illustrator. What the heck? Huh. Why does it say 25.1? I guess it is 25.1. I could have swore it was 25.2. Either way, just make sure you don't even need to know the numbers, right? Why am I trying to impress you with a number that I don't even know? Like, go to Illustrator and just make sure it says update, right? If it says open, then it's already updated. So just do that. Make sure everything's updated. And that's the goal of this, is to make sure you guys don't miss out on these fun things that we sneak into these apps and we don't tell you about. Why don't we tell you about them? I don't know. I like to withhold this information. So it's similar to a component in XD, but I think it's actually more powerful, just so you know, Marsha. Just so you know, other things that we're getting into is something called Clubhouse, and this is just between you and me and everybody else watching. It's something us evangelists probably will give, we'll basically give it a whirl. But with recent events in the U.S., lots of various other social media platforms have kind of been popping up. I think Clubhouse is interesting because it's drop-in audio chat. So it's kind of like you're listening to a live podcast. So that's our plan, is we'll probably do some tests and check it out. But I say with any new platform that pops up, go ahead and get your username so nobody else takes it. That's the one thing you have to do. Log in, get your username. You don't know what's going to be big. You don't want to miss out on the next Twitter, Snapchat. You get the idea, right? But basically, you join rooms. And in the room, it's like, hey, it's gonna be creative talk, and that's the subject. And you hear people talking about creative talk. All right, fantastic. So kind of keep an eye on that. That's all I have to say. That's between us evangelists, just so you know. Yeah, that's kind of what's happening. All right. Okay, good. Mallory is following me, and it's a fabulous platform. Yeah, I was listening to it yesterday. It was pretty interesting. Probably still some glitches since it's in its earlier phases, but look at this. How many people have downloaded? 189,000. So it's already like a pretty well-known app. All right, enough about that. Let's move on, because I want to highlight some creative from, of course, creatives. So let's dive into that. All right, welcome back, everyone. We're gonna kind of jump into a couple of really cool creative projects and maybe a not so good creative. So let's just do that right now, because it'll be fun. Yeah, if you need a Clubhouse invite, just go ahead and hit me up through social media. If you send me a direct message, I should be able to give you an invite. I think I have 20 of them or something like that, so feel free, hit me up. We'd love to get you involved. All right, but let's take a look at some cool creative that's happening in Behance. There are some from other places, but I really love this one. This is from a couple people. It's Valentina Amenta and Fiore David, both from Italy. But again, this is Photoshop work, which kind of is what I'm all about. This Yamaha Marine Open Days, Savor the Sea. Love this take on sort of taking something that's normally small and turning it into an ocean. So a lot of times, I remember doing this in art school, you deal with contrast. So that's what's happening here. There's this contrast of this very small little, popsicle, and then these waves that turned out very effective, right? Super cool what's happening there. And you can see the detail going on as I kind of scroll down. So appreciate that. I think that's cool work, right? I'll follow everybody there, and let's do some... Cool. Yeah, just send me a message. Be happy to this is from Mount West Community and Technical College, so this is actually from a couple different people. Let's scroll up. So Coat of Arms is how he's known, West Virginia. So this is Latham Arnott and Haywan Shin. We can take a look at this fun animation. Again, this is that texture style that I was talking about, right? And hopefully this inspires you. Let's go full screen. Let's click play. All right. Let's see if it has audio. Nope. But again, you can see that texture. You can see these simplified lines. Looks largely like our Adobe Live intros, which actually has won awards. But you can see this nice, simple design with this nice texture, right? Was not complex, has all those layers involved, and just looks really cool. Totally into it. Textures. Look at that light. Good use of light. Come on now, look at that. Look at how nice that is. Let's just admire it. All right, let's just enjoy it. Breathe it in. There it is, Mount West College. Very cool and beautiful. I would hire those guys in a heartbeat, assuming I had a company. Right, but tell me that's not awesome. So, some quick takeaways, obviously, is this use of texture and simplicity. This whole thing is just like super hot right now, right? We can talk all day long about sort of how to do it. How I typically do this sort of work. Do I have anything open? Oh, not that. We don't need that open. One easy way to do that style, let's open up this, and this is just kind of, again, what was created on Friday. Same idea. It's like, let's throw some texture in there. How is this sort of texture done? Same way as that video. How I typically do it is I throw a layer on the top, and all this layer has is noise associated with it. So here's that noise, right? So if you go to filter down to noise, add noise. That's what I used. You can use some of these others, but they might not have the same intensity. But there's also dust and scratches, which also works. As we load that in, we can go ahead and apply a couple to one. But then you just change that to something like soft light. And there you have it. There's your nice texture. Cool? Cool. Christine, I don't know if it's for iPhone only. I don't know if it also is for Android. But again, here's another case of just like something simple that has that nice texture there. So just do that one extra little move. The reason I put it on a layer on top, I don't want to apply that same effect to all the objects. Just apply it globally. And typically what it does is it just does a good job to look like it's a print overlay on top, right? And we could always get into halftone stuff like that. But yes, bring the noise. All right. Let's move on, right? So those are the two I wanted to highlight, this one and this one. But we can also talk about like bad design because there's a lot we can learn from it. But this one, I tweeted this out and I'm like, is this actually a real thing? And it is, although the image is not loading up right now. Okay, so this is what you shouldn't do, and let's actually first go to. Can I go to this first one? Okay, here we go. Sorry, this is blurry, but I'm not able to open up the large one. You can see this is like, how am I supposed to read this? I'm not saying I'm just nobody. I'm not saying I'm Wonder Woman. I'm just saying nobody has ever seen me and Wonder Woman in the same room together. Ouch. Oh no, that shirt. Now, you know, I don't know if you guys saw this online. So that's hilarious, right? I almost think I wonder if this is a joke. Right? And that's supposed to be Wonder Woman of all things. Like, what is that? Looks like two... I don't know. Looks like... I don't know. And the title doesn't make sense. Look what else they did. They put on the graphic. They put these other little things. 100% best quality, bestseller, made in USA. This other random icon. So they're just like flooding this with these random badges. Chances are, yeah, do you really think this is a bestseller? No. So what not to do? Don't break up text like that. 2, don't give your work accreditation that it doesn't actually have. But it just really makes me laugh. And yes, it hurts my eyes too. I'm sorry I'm sorry it's not loading up. Anyways, that was fun. What not to do. Please don't buy me that hoodie. Please don't. That's yeah, that's not good. All right. Yeah, switch the type to Comic Sans and make it better. Sounds about right. Yep. Yeah, exactly, Quinn. It's not made in the US. It's what, $22? Yeah. No. And it's, you see the title, I'll move on from this. I'm just nobody Wonder Woman in the same saying I'm saying has ever seen Room Together shirt. That doesn't even make any sense. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't waste any fabric on this whatsoever. But let's move over now to Community Spotlight. So let's dive into it. All right, welcome back. We do like to highlight somebody in the community, somebody that's either just in chat a lot or also on Discord creating work that maybe might not get highlighted. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to highlight Josh Swanson. I don't think he's in chat that much, but I wanted to highlight him and his work. So congratulations, Josh Swanson. We wanted to highlight you as, you know, a designer getting into it. So you can see the current challenge for Photoshop, the amount of work that he's jumped in. And again, it doesn't have to be the best work, but just getting work done, right? So you can see his work. We can scroll down, a couple more. New project, right? He's kind of setting up that template like so with a texture. Hey, do it. There he is. Hey, Josh, what's up, buddy? Congratulations. We just wanted to highlight you. He has more as I scroll down. Here's another one, 7-day case study, rough draft, right? Getting things done. This is from the Illustrator Challenge, actually. Sorry about that. Yeah, Illustrator Challenge. Cool, so just wanted to highlight Josh. Keep it up, keep it up. Everybody who is getting involved in the daily creative challenges, you could see all of them right in here. Senna's doing a lot of work. Jack Watson, of course, is in there. And you got some cool posters being generated from it as well. Wanted and Dangerous. All right. So congrats, Josh. I don't know if he's here, but congratulations. Jess, it's good to see ya. Marsha, awesome. Appreciate everybody hanging out in chat, learning things, getting to know their fellow community members. And let's move on to more stuff, which I never have enough time to cover a lot of this, but we do have free resources. Actually, I've covered most of these, I think, in the past. So essentially, we give out free things all the time through stock.adobe.com/free. right? That's going to give you all those free resources. Chroma Supply is just fun for textures. The Noun Project, if you have another one of these, want to add it to the list, great. Brush Easy for brushes, but also we have free brushes. There's Pexels, and there's also resources that you can get through our marketplace. Okay, so let's kind of scroll down. Wait for it. All right. Let me actually just kind of share my screen really fast. I wanted to point out these two new sections, by the way. So right in here, we can see that we have this Discover section, right? So we can see some of the live streams, but a lot of these articles. We have a team that actually writes these articles, and they'll give away free things as well. So kind of keep track of those. And I want to jump into Illustrator really fast. All right. Cool. Yeah, so just kind of keep this in mind as in terms of free resources, not necessarily free graphics, but we actually do give away free graphics in here. Just so you know, I can't find any of them right now. So yeah, cool resources that you happen to know about. Marketplace is another thing I wanted to kind of point out. You want some free images. You can see right in here. Let's go to see more. I've used this before. I use the free stock search. That's a plugin that goes right into Photoshop that will allow you to search for free images. And there's should be a couple of them. Oh, here's another one, Stock Solo. So that's a plugin that will give you allow you to search for free images and use them, manipulate them, all that fun stuff. Just so you know. It's also available if you go right in here. So you could go to Browse Plugins. It's going to launch that same panel specific to Photoshop, and you can see them all right in here. Right? Cool. So again, yeah, they're free. So what that means is you're probably going to recognize the images. So let's open up that Plugins panel. There we go. We'll search for a lighthouse. There's our lighthouse. Okay. Oops, I just said go to Pro version. Let's go back in here. Here it is. There we go. You guys get the idea. Stock.adobe.com. Thank you so much for that. So there we are, free image, boom. And again, if you just want to try things out. Another thing that we're constantly working on are the hands-on tutorials. So right in here, we could use this as a starter image, but we can also jump in and start out a tutorial. And in these tutorials, guess what? Look, we have all these fun butterflies. Look at all these assets that you could use, right? Purple, light blue, all this fun stuff that are already on your desktop. Again, free resources. We could see them right in here. This is the Discover panel, so you're going to see these blue bubbles pop up, right? But essentially, again, I could maybe use these, to practice, by the way. I'm not saying use those in projects. What about Unsplash? By the way, so speaking of Unsplash, a lot of these, and let's cancel out of this, exit. A lot of these free plugins panel, these will pull from Unsplash. So that's what it's doing. It pulls from Unsplash and a bunch of other resources. So there's Pexels as well, right? So I don't have to go to multiple sites. I can literally use one of these plugins. Pixabay is another one, right? And you start to recognize some of these images because there's only so many free images out there before people wise up and they're like, maybe I shouldn't be giving away my images for free, right? But that is there for you. All right. Yeah, check it out. Check out the Discover panel. Check out those tutorials. It'll walk you through it. And these are, I think Jesus Ramirez, I've done them. Rufus has done them. All the evangelists, all of us evangelists have done them. That's, again, what we do in our copious spare time. Last one I'll do is, as I talk about 3D, I'd like to point out TurboSquid because that's another site I use for 3D stuff if you're using Dimension, right? Ooh, Jose's getting into the repeat feature. Awesome. So right in here, we could search for lighthouse. So I'm like, okay, you know what? That lighthouse wasn't the right angle that I want. So go in here, search for TurboSquid, go down, show me the free ones. So we toggle to just the free ones. And sure enough, here's a free lighthouse. Here's another one that seems really cool as well. Wow. Look at this. Might be a little larger, but we could jump in, download that. It's the OBJ that we want, right? So for that OBJ, I can download it, drop it into Dimension, and kind of move on from there. That's right, you can't beat free. So here it is. Let's twirl it down. There's the OBJ. Thank you very much. Boom, 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 boom. Wait for it, folks. Dimension. Is everybody having a coffee this morning? When will Ted Chin go live on Adobe again? I do not know. That is a good question. Ted Chin did the splash screen for Photoshop, so that's good for him. Also in free assets, we have starter assets in Adobe Dimension. So this is typically where you would start off with a number of these models, as you can see. So a lot of these apps already have free assets loaded in them to get you started. And in this case, again, we can drop in that model. You guys get the idea. You don't need me to... Oh, looks like they're having an issue with that one. But again, you can drop that in and kind of go from there. Cool. Cool. Let's move on. There's more we need to talk about. And I have about 10 minutes. Banana pancakes? What? That sounds delicious. All right, so let's move on to questions that we get asked that I'm going to show you here in a second. So let's just go ahead and dive into. All right, my timing was way off, but I'm back. Oh, thank you, Corey. It means a lot to me. It takes a lot of time putting this stuff together. But it's good to be up on the latest, so, and honestly, to get your questions answered. I think one of the best places, like, I could show you community.adobe.com, but really Discord is like this community's chat where you can get questions answered and all that good stuff. So you can go to discord.com/invite, Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, Premiere, XD, all that fun stuff. And then it's really just a matter of picking the category that you want. So as I switch screens, zoop, here I am, ask a question. So I happen to be in the Photoshop. Here's Photoshop, Premiere, all those ones that I just mentioned. Go to Photoshop, scroll down, you can go to ask a question right in here. So let's scroll down to actually a newer one, maybe. So anyways, this is basically a chance to ask questions and upload a specific image that somebody from the community will answer, right? And again, you can see cool. So this person's asking about the light mode effect. It's not working for them, and this looks like it's gone. I don't know if it looks like it might have gone unanswered, right? But there is lighting in Photoshop. So we'll go in here just really fast, and it works for flat images. But as we can see, we have this image right here, and we'll just go ahead and jump that. We'll rasterize this layer. We'll throw some lighting on this. We'll go to filter. We'll go down to render, and then we have lighting effects. I don't know if you've worked with this, but this has been available in Illustrator forever now, or in Photoshop, sorry. But here are these lighting effects. We've updated it. Obviously, it has new controls, and we haven't even talked about like these new controls, but let's stretch that out. Let's increase the spread of this, and you can see we can sort of have a highlight on this particular photo. Again, I think it works with flat images a little bit better. Okay. And you can control sort of the exposure and all that fun stuff. What I would typically do is like you could go in and just create a new layer that's gray. So here's a new gray layer. We'll go to filter. There's a lot of things I want to do right now. Let's do it. Let's do it, folks. We have time. Let's make this square. Boom, boom. There we are. Fill that with gray. Now we'll go up to filter, render, lighting effects, just on this gray layer, right? So this kind of gives you a better idea of what we can do. So again, we'll take this, we'll expand it out, move it over, right? As you can see, as I grab this, this is increasing the intensity as we see that slider change, right? From a spotlight to kind of one that's coming at an angle. Click OK, and there it is, right? From there, you could just change the blend mode, right? So we can go in and say, hey, you know what? Let's give it an overlay look, and we can see it's creating that splash. But the nice thing about putting this on another layer is you can move it around. Now, disregard this is not quite the right size. Maybe I want to put it in this design. Might be a little cooler that way. But you can see how I can move that around. Oh, you love the lighting effects. You use it constantly. Sweet. So there it is. And again, I'm just changing the blend mode. So right here, we can change this to this second category where it's just going to keep the light and not the darks. But we can go in and change that to like color dodge. And now we have that bright light that's kind of interacting with the rest of it, as you can see, which is actually kind of cool. Like, look at that cool look we get. Soft light does have the word light in it. It was there in front of me this whole time, right? Some things to keep in mind. Let's actually just change this to 32-bit. Sometimes if you have anything, this is what I did real fast because I know there's going to be questions around this. It's like people are always like, where is this? I can't select this. What is going on? Here's a case where you're like, oh, I want to go to soft light or hard light and it's not even highlighted. Why is everything grayed out? Right? That's a case where you'll go in here and say, hey, you know what? Your image depth is off. So the image depth is at 32 bits per channel. You want to change it down to 8 bits. So keep in mind this. Sometimes you want to have colors, and it's because you started with a grayscale image. So check the image mode if anything is grayed out, right? We can see that's definitely an issue here. I'll change that to 8-bit, right? And again, I've already kind of messed with it to begin with, but now as I select that layer, oh, now everything is highlighted. So 8-bit is the way to go. And the nice thing is we can always undo that. Cancel. There we go. Boom. 16-bit will also work as well. All right. Let's get this back to where it was, because man, did I make it look ugly really fast. All right. Happy Monday, everybody. Robzilla's in the house. How you doing, man? Right? So we've covered lighting. Again, you can go to community. A lot of this stuff you can also link to from Discover right in here. As we scroll down, say for Illustrator, we can see popular in Illustrator community, right? We can see all the conversations that were happening that month. Click OK. That's going to take you to the Illustrator community page, right? Cool. Yeah. Some of these are being answered. Need to know if you guys have any questions as well. Speaking of free stuff, right? And this person is asking about film and video templates, specifically to Illustrator, right? So if we go to File, New, we see a number of them in here. If you don't see this screen, you might have defaulted to, let's go into General, to the old splash screen. So let me find it. Use Legacy File New interface. So we'll click OK. We'll go to File New. And now we get this. It's like, hey, where did all the templates go? Well, you just changed the new interface and it's not here, right? So again, you can always click templates. And that actually just goes to my cloud documents, which is interesting. But anyways, it's just because this setting in here, we always give you the ability to go back to a legacy version, if you will, if you don't like the new thing that we introduced. That gives you that ability, but just double check that. And keep in mind, you could always make your own. If you've known me for any length of time, you would know that you know, I actually make my own customized template that has all my fun stuff. Just joined, Mr. Yes, you'll have to rewatch how I did that effect later, right? And again, that was all done in Photoshop. By the way, what I typically use, and here we can see this lighting effect. I'll also do something similar with two effects that I use in here, by the way. We'll go down to render, right? Clouds are good if you want to make textures, right? But lighting effects and then lens flare. Use the lens flare like all the time. Right in here, we could see this lens flare that we could work with. Make sure you're just working on a black layer, right? We can change the lens type and adjust accordingly. Click OK, and there it is. And what do? You change the blend mode to something like soft light. And now I have this little, oh, not soft light. I mean, depends on what you're doing. I'm into it. Color dodge, linear dodge, one of these up here works pretty well. I like linear dodge because any of these in this first section will get rid of black altogether and keeps the white. Cool. Yeah, there's a risk, by the way. What other pro tips can I give you? Right, I think I've covered a lot. I can check Discord, make sure anything, you know, make sure everything has been answered. You know, this person is asking about PNG versus JPEG and which is better, right? I typically think, hey, PNG is I only need it when I need to export transparency. So for something like this, I'm clearly just going to export out as a JPEG. Also, we have right in here, and I'm getting down to my last couple minutes, quick export as PNG. I actually don't use PNG that much to begin with, right? I just don't. I export out as JPEG all the time. So we can go into preferences, right? And this time I'm in Photoshop. And we can go down to export and change the export. So again, you'd use PNG if you're having transparency. I do JPEG all the time. So let's change JPEG 85% quality, right? And ask to where to export it. But that's what I would do, right? Now we can go ahead and export as JPEG. Boom. It's going to open up where we'll save it to, right? In my desktop, output that file, and we're done. Oh, Mia, your first year anniversary, discovering Adobe Live. Yay, Mia. Good to have you here. Yes, hopefully it is an amazing learning experience. We got an awesome day today as well, full of really a lot of things, because who we have up next is Anderson Blue. So this is going to be a lot of fun as we take a look at his lovely illustration work right in here. It's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, it's going to be a blast. Stay tuned for his work. Daily Creative Challenge. Actually, it looks like right after me is the Daily Creative Challenge for Photoshop, right? So this is week 2. But yeah, we're going to do some character design with Anderson Blue, Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. Then we have editing video for social using Premiere and Rush. Is that right? Am I on the right day? Yeah, I am on the right day. With Voodoo Val. Awesome. Fantastic. XD happening. Don't forget Kyle Webster's stream tomorrow as well. Will be a lot of fun at this exact same time. But I'll let you guys go and let you know that I do appreciate you. And I thank you for hanging out with me today. Stick around, hang out with me. Send me what you think is hot news or silly graphics, or it could even be Bernie Sanders memes, which I love it so much. It's so great. But appreciate you guys. Appreciate everyone here. Have a beautiful day. Take care of one another. Be kind. And yeah, get some sleep, huh? Thanks, everybody. We'll see y'all soon.